This is a world full of fantastical colors. Humans are about to face unprecedented challenges. The most amazing thing is that this wild boar has grown a pair of bat-like wings. After receiving the mission, the brave protector of the crops prepared to engage in a deadly battle with the wild boar. He found that his attacks were completely ineffective. After much effort, he managed to wake the boar from its slumber. In the next moment, the hero was sent flying into the sky by the boar's immense strength. Fortunately, he adjusted his position in time, and finally landed on the boar's bristly back. This saved him from being smashed into a pulp. However, before the hero could steady himself, the boar suddenly unfurled its wings and soared into the sky at breakneck speed. Combined with the boar's robust build, it looked quite bizarre yet somewhat amusing. But the hero on its back couldn't laugh at all at this moment, because this creature was too fast. Fortunately, the hero had ample experience. He pulled out the rope he had prepared earlier. The hero skillfully swung the lasso. He then secured one of the boar's claws on its wing. This successfully reduced the boar's speed. However, this was still not enough. He cleverly wrapped the rope around the boar's thick neck. This way, only one wing would remain, allowing him to completely control the boar. Then the hero repeated the process and successfully tied up the boar's other wing. As the hero pulled with all his might, the boar let out a sharp scream. Then, it suddenly folded its wings and dove down like a cannonball. However, it was quite unfortunate that, directly below them was the only town nearby. The residents saw the wild boar plummet down like a cannonball. They were instantly frightened and scattered in all directions. Fortunately, it ended up being a close call. The boar's snout finally stopped just before crashing into a house. The hero's feat earned him the enthusiastic cheers of all the townspeople. He had once been called the Eagle Hero. Now, he had gained a new title. The hero was adored by children and admired by many young girls. But amidst the crowd, there was a different voice. It was the town's witch. She disdainfully remarked that the hero was merely putting on a show. The witch believed that such a person couldn't be considered a true hero. Naturally, this reached the hero's ears. He suddenly felt a bit embarrassed. The hero thought about his previous work. Although it was dangerous, it only involved dealing with animals. The hero believed he needed a great victory to prove that he was indeed a hero worthy of the townspeople's respect. Just then, a servant brought news. He claimed that deep within the dense forest was a mysterious tall castle. It was rumored that there was a terrifying monster inside. It had imprisoned an extraordinary beauty. People often heard her lamentations. As a result, many adventurers risked entering to rescue the maiden, but in the end, they were all lost forever within the castle. The servant believed that as long as the hero rescued the beauty, he could prove his worth. After hearing this, the hero went to the castle alone the next morning. However, what happened next was somewhat beyond his expectations. First of all, the castle wasn't even locked. In addition, he saw the imprisoned woman as soon as he entered. Everything went smoothly. Surprising the hero, he suddenly felt a surge of arrogance. The hero asked the woman where the monster was located. He stated that he was there to defeat the monster. Rescuing her was just a bonus. Seeing the hero's arrogance, the woman felt utterly speechless. She didn't want to engage with this guy at all, so she kept avoiding him. The hero thought she was playing hide and seek, and immediately chased after her. Just then, the legendary monster suddenly appeared. Fortunately, the hero reacted quickly and dodged the first wave of attacks. However, in the next second, the monster suddenly transformed into a more formidable form. The hero was caught off guard by this change. Fortunately, with his excellent skills, he could barely hold his ground. The serpent head reappeared once again. At this moment, the hero realized that the snake was actually the monster's tail. Unprepared, he was knocked to the ground. Even his shield was thrown aside by the monster. Fortunately, his combat experience allowed him to quickly evade the monster's attacks. Then, the hero swung his mace and struck the monster fiercely. With sheer brute force, the hero managed to overpower the monster. He launched a series of attacks against it. The monster roared in pain, desperately using its tail to launch sneak attacks on the hero. However, the hero easily dodged them. Before the monster could catch its breath, the hero wrapped his tail around the monster's neck. Seeing the monster's tail still struggling to bite him, he intended to tear it apart, but unexpectedly, the monster spat at him unethically. Taking advantage of the opportunity when the hero's eyes were injured, the monster limped away. The hero, affected by the venom, was nearly blind and couldn't see the monster's location. He could only swing his mace randomly. With his brute strength, he managed to turn the entire castle into ruins. Since then, the hero was almost completely blind, only able to see a faint light. The hero's life suddenly changed. Now he had strength, but nowhere to apply it. Those who once praised him now called him a madman. Only the witch felt pity for the hero and often helped him. Not long after, the city was unexpectedly attacked by unidentified bandits. The hero, neglected by the townspeople, even though he couldn't see the enemies, still fought with all his might against the pirate invasion. Although he was incredibly brave, the impact of his blindness was too significant. In the end, he was ambushed and fell to the ground. When the Hero woke up again. They were imprisoned as slaves on a cargo ship, uncertain of where they would be sold. Fortunately, the servant had remained by his side, never leaving him. The servant managed to bring some fruit for the hero and others to stave off hunger. He also secretly stole an oil lamp. It looked a bit like the legendary Aladdin's lamp. Following the legend, the servant rubbed the lamp. In the next moment, a genie actually appeared. But it wasn't the wish-granting one, it was the Desert Reaper. The noise in the cabin immediately alerted the pirates. However, as soon as they came down to check, they were knocked away by the genie. The genie then began attacking everyone indiscriminately. Although the hero couldn't see, he could sense that the situation was dire. Using his brute strength, he forcibly locked the genie's wrist. Then he began to beat the genie, drawing on years of combat experience. The hero could turn anything he touched into a weapon. The genie was bewildered by the beating, but after a short while, the genie noticed his blindness. Silently, it launched sneak attacks on the hero. After several attempts, the hero began to feel overwhelmed. At this moment, the genie was nearly frantic. Without the hero to hinder it, it turned its attention to the others. Fortunately, the servant remembered the legend again, so he rubbed the lamp a few more times. In the next moment, the genie was drawn back into the lamp. A crisis had finally been averted. The servant felt extremely excited. With this, they could escape the pirates' control. In the next second, the pirates appeared beside him. They threatened the servant with a knife to hand over the lamp. Seeing the curved knife at his throat, the servant had no choice but to comply. Thus, the group lost their only chance to escape. After that, it was uncertain how long they drifted at sea. Finally, they were able to reach the shore. The servant and the others were fitted with hoods. When they were finally taken off, they found themselves chained to a slave auction block. Unlike their despairing hearts, the marketplace here was bustling with activity. Shops were trading, and vendors were shouting their wares. People wore vastly different attire, as if people from various countries had gathered here. At this moment, a wealthy merchant took notice of the 500-year-old witch. With the aid of magic, the witch appeared far from old, yet that unscrupulous merchant kept using terms like aged and feeble in an attempt to haggle with the slave dealer. He was completely unaware that the witch was getting furious to the point of transformation. The witch ended the transaction with a swift kick. The merchant intended to kill the witch with a flurry of strikes, but just then, a mysterious passerby spoke up to stop the merchant. Not only did he buy all three heroes, but he also compensated the merchant. Thus, the three heroes followed the mysterious man to an Arabian-style seaside building. However, compared to its plain exterior, the interior style was completely incongruous. It exuded an eerie atmosphere everywhere. Inside this building, there were camels that could converse with people, as well as a group of mechanical turtles serving as attendants. Then, the mysterious man finally revealed his true identity. The three heroes were immediately astonished, because this man was named Einstein. He was the world's most famous mechanic in the area. It was rumored that he had spent 10 years transforming a primitive barbaric tribe into a modern society. But the most bizarre thing was actually his origins. Einstein was once a noble slave in his early years. After gaining his freedom, he dedicated himself to using technology to overthrow the slave society. Rumor has it that he has fought for this for 10 centuries. Einstein didn't deny this. He stated that he was now 938 years old. The reason he had lived this long was due to a longevity potion he invented. Einstein claimed that just one sip could grant eternal youth. This surprised even the witch. After all, while she could also maintain her longevity, it came at a great cost. Not only did she have to conduct various complex magical and potion studies every day, but she also had to maintain a healthy lifestyle. Yet, Einstein only needed a sip of potion to achieve eternal youth. Thinking of this, the witch felt a longing arise within her. She too wanted to live so easily. However, it was clearly not the right time to speak up. Next, Einstein showcased the mechanical technology within the house to the group. Each one left the three of them in awe. Einstein closed all the doors and windows. He then brought out a specially made copper mirror. After careful adjustments, it reflected a blue jellyfish. The hero, having never seen such a thing, marveled at the brilliance of technology. However, Einstein's demonstration wasn't limited to this. Next, he placed a headband on the blind hero. Various lenses were switched inside to fit the hero's eyes. In just a few seconds, the hero, who had been blind for years, regained his sight. This thrilled the hero immensely. Of course, this was just a minor feat. What followed was the truly revolutionary research that Einstein would showcase. It was a mechanical device capable of completely countering magic. Einstein flipped a switch. The blackboard changed instantly to reveal a control room. Einstein placed the lamp that could summon the genie on the central console. He then actively summoned the genie. Seeing the sand giant appear again, the heroes immediately got into a defensive stance. However, Einstein merely pushed a joystick. The genie was trapped on the console by the surrounding equipment. Then, the pedal device above activated. It erupted. With a powerful suction, the genie was instantly sucked in like dust by the pedal device, and the lamp lost its magical properties. The witch immediately realized the terror of Einstein's device. She dared not reveal her identity as a witch. In their subsequent interactions, the witch always claimed to be just an apothecary. However, Einstein was very lenient with them. He even granted them freedom from their slave status, allowing them to come and go as they pleased. This made the heroes very happy. They planned to return to their hometown the following day. However, during dinner, a bird suddenly flew into the palace and crashed directly into the lampshade. Einstein's expression immediately grew serious, because that bird was his special messenger pigeon. Through the message it carried, the group learned that a monster had appeared near the city. The residents had come to seek Einstein's help. From the description in the letter, the hero realized it was the serpent-tailed monster that had blinded him. To repay Einstein for his healing, and to avenge the past, he took on the mission, vowing to kill the monster. However, Einstein only asked them to capture the monster. He expressed a desire to study it. Although the difficulty had increased, with their previous battle experience, the hero was still confident he could succeed. But on the night before their departure, the witch could no longer resist the temptation of eternal youth. She decided to sneak into the mechanics laboratory under the cover of night, to steal the longevity potion. The witch was caught red-handed by Einstein. Regarding the witch's actions, Einstein chose to forgive her. Not only did he not pursue her wrongdoing, but he even promised to give her the potion for free, if they could capture the monster alive. Upon hearing such good news, the witch naturally agreed. By the next day, as the group prepared to set off, Einstein brought them to a device. He named this device the Vortex. It was a massive flying apparatus. Einstein claimed he had traveled the world using this flying machine. Now, by lending it to them, they could reach their destination faster. In addition, Einstein also offered another device. He named it the transforming octagonal cage. It was best suited for capturing live creatures. This would help them capture the monster. Just when the group thought that was all, Einstein brought out a pile of brand new equipment. Although it looked similar to the hero's previous set, it was actually completely different, especially the mace. After Einstein's modifications, this hammer could transform into a powerful war hammer at any time. By pressing a button again, the hammerhead could be instantly retracted. After donning all the equipment, the three heroes finally entered the vortex. Einstein had them fasten their seatbelts. Then, before they could react, he cut the tether. In the next moment, the flying machine launched into the air. After reaching the highest point, the propellers quickly unfolded and carried them toward their destination. With the flying machine, they easily passed over one mountain after another. In less than half a day, they arrived hundreds of kilometers away. However, it seemed that this device wasn't easy to land. Although no one was harmed, they felt terrible mentally. As soon as they got out of the flying machine, they began to vomit uncontrollably, and vowed never to ride that thing again. After they recovered a bit, they headed to the location mentioned in the letter with the talking camel. Soon, they discovered the camp that had first encountered the monster. By observing the enormous monster footprints around, the hero deduced the direction in which the monster had left. They tracked it to a cave. Hearing continuous roars coming from inside, the hero confirmed that was their target. They took out the transforming octagonal cage that Einstein had given them. After a series of magical transformations, this device transformed into a mobile prison cage. The hero entrusted the task of controlling the octagonal cage to the witch. She just needed to pull a knob to automatically complete the capturing task. The hero entered the cave to lure the monster out. The hero cautiously stepped into the cave. Seeing the scattered weapons around, it was clear that a fierce battle had erupted here. However, after searching for a long time, he saw no sign of the monster. In reality, the monster had already come up behind the hero, ready to deliver a fatal blow. Fortunately, the hero reacted quickly. The monster charged out of the cave. The witch immediately activated the mechanism, but accidentally damaged the octagonal cage. Fortunately, the servant quickly reacted and manually activated the cage. This time, they successfully captured the monster. The group set the cage upright and began their return journey. The hero easily resolved the obstacles along the way with sheer brute strength. However, when night fell, a woman singing suddenly emanated from the octagonal cage. The hero recognized it as the voice of the woman from the castle. To understand what was happening, he ignored everyone's warnings and opened the cage to investigate. To his surprise, the monster had vanished. Only the woman from the castle remained. The hero, feeling soft-hearted, wanted to release the beauty and restore her freedom. The witch immediately voiced her opposition, and locked both the hero and the woman inside the cage. After all, This was related to her longevity potion. Inside the cage, the hero and the woman communicated continuously. He learned that she was under a terrible curse. As soon as someone touches her body, she would instantly transform into that terrifying beast. That's why she had kept away from humans, sealing herself in the forest castle. Yet, for some reason, rumors spread about a beast imprisoning a beauty, leading many to come for a hero's rescue. In the end, they were all killed by the woman in her uncontrollable state. Upon hearing this, the hero vowed to find a way to lift the curse from her, but before that, he needed to explain the situation to Einstein. The hero thought that Einstein's leniency would surely lead him to help the woman. However, in reality, Einstein was just a fraud. At this moment, he had captured a magical cat, then he used the device to extract the magic from the cat's body, transforming it into bottles of blue liquid. These potion bottles were piled up throughout his entire basement. Einstein had harmed countless magical beings. At this moment, the heroes were unaware of this. During their time together, the hero gradually fell in love with her, so upon returning, he immediately sought out Einstein, requesting his help for the woman. The hero saw that Einstein was extracting the witch's magical items into bottles of magical potions. Then, he poured the blue potion into the mechanical turtle. The lifeless metal creature sprang back to life instantly. The group finally realized the so-called technology was all just a trick. In reality, it was still a magical device. Seeing that the truth was revealed, Einstein remained calm, arguing that it was based on fundamental principles of physics and chemistry. However, the crowd didn't believe his nonsense at all. The witch immediately accused Einstein of being a fraud, then she turned and walked away. Seeing these people insult him so, Einstein ripped off his disguise and called for thugs using an alarm under the table. In the next moment, the bandits who had attacked them before rushed out from every corner. Clearly, the earlier attack on the town was also part of Einstein's scheme. The three were surrounded by the bandits. Einstein approached the group with his mechanical turtle. At his command, the turtle shot out chains. In an instant, everyone was locked up. At this moment, the camel explained a few things to the hero. It was then struck in the neck by one of Einstein's henchmen. However, the camel was unharmed, because it was also a mechanical creature. Just then, the servant stood in front of Einstein. Just when the hero thought he was going to sacrifice himself, the servant betrayed them and told Einstein that the woman over there had turned into the monster. Einstein was very pleased with his attitude, so he immediately activated the device. Seeing the woman about to be drained of her magic and turned to ashes, the hero suddenly had an idea. He rushed towards the woman desperately. She understood the hero's intent as well. At the moment of contact, the woman transformed into a bloodthirsty monster. Under her cover, the witch and the hero took the chance to escape. Einstein immediately sent out bandits to chase after them. Seeing there was no way to escape, the hero took on the responsibility of holding back the rear. He wanted to make a stand against them. With his excellent physique and the modified mace, the first wave of pursuing bandits were all knocked down by the hero, but their delay allowed more enemies to catch up. At this point, they were caught in a pincer attack with no chance of escape. Just when the hero thought he would die there, the witch finally made her move. She quickly pulled out a handful of seeds. After reciting a simple incantation, she threw them at the bandits. In the next moment, the seeds transformed into watermelons. The watermelons overwhelmed the bandits, accompanied by the bandits' screams. They successfully escaped. However, Einstein had no intention of letting them go easily. He led the servant to the castle's basement. As Einstein pushed the joystick, the entire ground was instantly lifted, turning into ruins. A turtle head slowly emerged from the ground. Next, a massive metal turtle body also surfaced. It turned out that the entire palace was built on the back of this metal turtle. This was the iron fortress crafted by Einstein. As long as the energy was replenished, he could use it to rule the entire world. Now, hurriedly activated, the steel turtle was malfunctioning in many areas, but at this moment, Einstein couldn't worry about that. He operated the joystick to open the launch ports on the turtle's shell. Then a cannonball slowly peeked out from the launch port. Following that, more launch ports opened up. The turtle cannonballs were all launched, exploding around the hero. Fortunately, due to insufficient potion, some of them were duds. This lessened the pressure on the hero's defenses, but the witch, lacking a strong physique, was knocked unconscious by the blast. When she awoke, she happened to see the turtle fortress extend an absorption device to reclaim the energy from the mechanical camel. She hurriedly pulled out her last seed, recited a spell, and threw it with all her might. The watermelon perfectly blocked the passage. She temporarily avoided danger. However, the witch's actions completely revealed her identity. Einstein immediately turned his direction and charged toward the witch. Due to 5 centuries of accumulation, the steel turtle's energy replenished very quickly, but the witch was aging rapidly as well. In the end, the servant could not bear to see his companion die. He immediately betrayed Einstein. Einstein had long been prepared for this. Fortunately, the hero arrived just in time to rescue the servant. Then he used the chain of his mace to climb onto the turtle fortress. While dodging attacks, he looked for a way to defeat the steel turtle. He accidentally had his glasses knocked off. With hints from the witch and the servant, the hero finally made it back to the ground. At this point, he finally had a plan. The hero intended to use brute force to flip the turtle fortress over. The hero was indeed very strong, but he was still a bit short of what he needed. Just then, the Sphinx suddenly jumped onto the turtle's head. Einstein in the cockpit was startled. He temporarily forgot to control the fortress. The hero seized this opportunity to topple the turtle. The blue potion poured out immediately. Without its energy source, the steel turtle turned into scrap metal. Seeing the situation was bad, Einstein quickly pulled the lever at his waist, attempting to escape with mechanical wings. At this moment, a malfunction occurred. Einstein fell directly into the blue potion, turning into a puddle of black liquid. The battle was finally won. The hero was exhausted from using so much strength. At this moment, the monster suddenly returned to human form. The woman came to the hero's side. Tears of sorrow flowed from her eyes, blue in color. A tear dropped perfectly onto the hero's eye. At this moment, a miracle happened. The hero completely recovered, and his eyes regained their sight. He knew it was all due to the woman's power. To thank her, he vowed to seek out wizards across the land to lift the curse from her, thus freeing her from the bondage of her beastly form. At this moment, the woman told the hero that her monster form was actually her true self. She had been cursed to turn into a human. The beauty and the hero were destined never to love each other. In the end, the hero could only watch as the monster disappeared from sight. The only good news was that the witch obtained Einstein's longevity potion. But unfortunately, this was also a lie he had concocted. In reality, it was just a bottle of ordinary orange juice. This adventure ended with an ironic conclusion. The film ends here. The initial hero is a prequel to the Last Hero trilogy. This film constructs a world full of fantastical elements. The hero starts out as a typical hero archetype. He can tame winged wild boars and dares to challenge the serpent-tailed monster. He is cheered and surrounded by the townspeople, but when he is blinded by the monster, his once heroic label instantly turns into that of a madman. This transformation starkly reveals the public's utilitarian attitude towards heroes. The value of a hero seems to depend solely on their ability to create visible achievements. Once they lose their utility, they are quickly discarded. Moreover, the film is filled with dark humor in its twists. The woman deemed a monster is actually cursed to become human. The beauty the hero desperately tries to save turns out to be the monster he fought against. These setups break the traditional fairy tale filter of hero rescuing a beauty. They tell the audience that the truth they seek may be a lie, the monsters you define may have hidden stories, and the treasures you strive for may hold no real value at all. Overall, the entire film tells a story about the downfall of a hero. With exaggerated plots and fantastical settings, it neither glorifies perfect heroes nor beautifies fairy tale endings. Instead, it wraps the kernel of reality in an absurd shell. When heroes descend from their pedestals, when desires reveal their true nature, and when fate plays its tricks, how should we view so-called success and value? Perhaps, just like the hero who ultimately loses love, he may not become a true hero but finds clarity within the ruins. This imperfection is precisely what makes life most real. If you enjoy my channel, please subscribe.